our fearless leader, our fearless leader. Uh, Patrick Mahomes had a good game. I think he did a great job protecting the football. He was decisive getting the ball out of his hands most of the night. When it was time for him to put the cape on, he put it on, had it in his back pocket. Let me take over this thing. And he made some really good decisions with the football. He threw some balls that was absolute strikes. It was good to get everybody involved. He got the ball to, I forgot how many receivers, how many guys got the football. But we know, let me see how many received. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 guys caught the football, Marcus. 9 guys. He got the ball to 9 guys.
It's wild.
That is wild. No other team does that. Sorry. And that's the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what they do well. So we're unconventional in that way. And so some of the things that we talked about conservative was like Andy was talking about, like maybe taking out some of the motions, okay, some of the shifts. But we're still going to run some things that are very complex. Okay, defenses have to figure out what it is that we're trying to do. We do a great job just attacking what they do. But Patrick Mahomes in himself, the man was phenomenal. 27-37, man, come on, 269 yards, 3 TDs, touchdowns, and a partridge in a pear tree in that last run. Our fearless leader did a great job. So maybe toward the end of the game, like I said, one of those when we was doing the rollout, the sprint left, he kind of carried it, he was running with the football. He maybe should have got rid of it, thrown it. I think kind of put us in a precarious position. Other than that, man, I think he did a phenomenal job. So with that, man, Patrick Mahomes, and he spoke for everybody that even though he was satisfied in the win, he wasn't satisfied into the decisiveness of what the win was. Okay. And he knew guys was hurting. But it's a team sport. He understands that. He knows the defense was hurting a little bit. That's why guys have each other's back. And that's why I love football so much, because you rely on guys on both sides of the ball and special teams. It's a accumulation of guys got to get those things right. So my and R, not just my R, fearless leader, I gave Patrick Mahomes a B+. B+. It's a great game by him against a very talented, Panthers team. They got some talent, man. They got some guys over there. Okay, against a guy that knows the Chiefs really well. Okay, the defense coordinator. So it's not like he was a mystery. He knew Patrick. He knew what we do. But I gave Patrick Mahomes a B+. So.
And he's second half of the season, he's trending, back to the old ways. With 3 of the last 4 games, 3+ passing touchdowns. You got to love he's finally, and no surprise, once Hopkins gets here, he starts to look like old Pat a little bit. First half of that game, solid. Second half of that game, I think that more goes to the play calling aspect, which we'll get later on when you grade the coaches. But yeah, I'm totally fine with the B+. I think it's great.
Absolutely. So, it wasn't perfect, but, he was daggone near to it. And he did a great job. Could have been some things he could have maybe got rid of the football. Sure. Could have been some other decisions he could have made. But B+, I think, is fitting for his performance yesterday. So.
Yeah, I think everyone's in agreement with that one. I saw A, I saw B+ here. Yeah, G-Pick goes to A, B+, A-, A. But yeah, everyone, yeah, it's good. Consensus, JD. That's a good grade right there for our fearless leader.
Yeah. Mike Brennan makes a good point. That sack in the fourth quarter on 2nd and 6 was painful. Didn't need to happen. Led to the sack on 3rd and long. Absolutely. Yeah. Mike understands what I'm talking about. Because sometimes, when you're in situational football, you got to know. You got to know certain things that sometimes you got to throw it, get rid of it.
Yeah, I thought that should have been a run play, to be quite honest with you. I don't know why we're doing that. Just run the damn ball.
Well, and so we'll kind of get into that, because I agree with you 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Play calling's been really rocky. Yesterday, play calling was great. I thought the first half play calling was great. It's the second half where it didn't really make any sense.
No. Mm-mm. And so sometimes you got the course of the game, things change. The defense is like, okay, now we got to do something a little bit different. But practical things toward the end, like I said, it started at 8:42. I know exactly when it started. I'm just like, what are we doing? And I
Mhm.
get like we're not scared of what they give us and what they do, but sometimes you put our guys compromise some of the things, as far as like protection, especially if these guys have got their ears peeled back and trying to come get us.
Mhm.
So yeah,
I
I'm good with it. So the O line, uh, they actually look pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. Going back through it, checking everything out, they did a good job blocking, kind of sustaining some blocks. A couple of those sacks could have been covered sacks. I think they really were. Um, is that Pat holding the ball in his hand? Well, maybe somebody's just not open. And some of it is the combination of routes that we're running that we got to get open on man on those particular plays, and he's got to be able to get rid of it. So I, I do attribute some of those things to coverage sacks, putting our guys in a predicament that they probably shouldn't have been in to throw the football. I put that on the coaches. When we're sitting over there and we're on the 37-yard line going in, 37-yard line, and we decide to throw the football. Um, I think that's a bad deal to me. You're not helping your guys out. You're not helping your guys out at all. And so we got to understand, especially if these guys got they ears peeled back to go get it. Um, we got to also protect them. Not saying they shouldn't do their job because they should, but also too just knowing like, okay, listen, let's not put our guys in a position where maybe Patrick gets a sack, and all of a sudden now we out of field goal range, right? I mean, you got to think about those things, okay? And you got to call a game, especially for that. And what we end up doing is penalty, penalty, sack, and so I'm like, now we got to punt the football. Now we out of field goal range, so now that all changes. I man should have been 3 straight run calls. I agree with you right there, barbershop from the 37. Absolutely, go get your head on the goalpost. Now we plow on it. That's how it needs to work. Now we go hit these guys in the mouth. Uh, and I don't like our guys retreating in that scenario. You don't, because when you're going in, you're looking for a 2-score game. Make it a lot tougher on them. Get them one dimensional, and that would have absolutely made them one dimensional. So, uh, other than that, man, I think I think Wanya played a decent game. He got beat off the snap a couple of times, which should never happen. And I think really, he's looking. I don't know how loud it is, um, but I get you got to get your head around. But sometimes you got to look at your guy. Okay, you got to look at your guy. You got to hear the hut. You got to anticipate it, um, and then live with it. But sometimes you just got beat out of the stance, and that was, shoot. The defender, he's right on the ball. He can see the ball snap. He can see it move. But gotta make sure you get kicked back there. Um, Jawan Taylor, same thing. I said his hands were a little lazy on a few of those. He's got to get his hands inside. He's got to move his feet better. And I think that we retreat a lot, that we got to be stout. Once we engage, you got to be stout and move your feet. But it's got to be like real short, fast bursts with power, okay, when you're blocking. And so when you're sitting back there, you got to retreat, boom, and you got to go ahead and give that hit. One of the offensive line coaches who used to be my tight end, Juan Castillo, he's out there at UCLA right now, was the, I think, offense coordinator when I left up there in Philly, was offensive line coach some really great guys. Went to Baltimore, coached there in Baltimore for quite some time, O-line. And Juan had a great, I love how he coached O-line. And when I went up there to the Ravens, when I was in college, go talk to him about a few things. Juan was like, Jason, I just took the guessing work out of it. So I had our guys kick step 3 times, then punch, even if they don't get your hands on him, because that helps you. Because immediately when you see a guy do like this, punch, immediately the defensive player does like this, right? Which slows him down somewhat. Okay. And that's what you want to be able to do. It's the same thing like if a guy's running as a wide receiver, you don't want to run with your hands up, or Al Saunders say, don't run with you doing this because it slows you down. You turn your head and doing this, run full speed, you know what I'm saying? And your hands come up late catching the football. Okay. Same thing with tackles. And it's like, go ahead and give your punch right now so the defender starts doing this. Now it's like, okay, you got a little bit more time. So if Jawan Taylor's watching this, hey, man, it might be a little thing that you might want to try, okay, for our guys. But he's got to get his hands inside too. Inside guys did a pretty good job. Trey Smith, like I said, Trey, he didn't have such a great game. He stayed in front of guys that, man, he started getting retreated, getting pushed back. It's going to happen. But you got to do a much better job. I agree with everybody in here. Everybody C plus, good. I was almost, I'm gonna give B minus to C plus. I'm actually going to give these guys. Okay. C plus probably a little bit better because of giving up the sacks. You still got to do your job. So C plus. It's good. So I'm right with y'all. C plus. But I think they did a good job blocking. First half, they did a phenomenal job. Second half, I think they did a good job maybe running the football and opening up some lanes, getting out. But we cannot give up sacks when we know we can't. We can't get penalties when we know we can't give up that type of field position. We got to do a much better job. I think some of those penalties, I think, were a little ticky-tack. I didn't really like them. I think there was some who was like, oh, man, come on. That's a bad call. The one on Joe Tooney, the hold, terrible call. I would have never called that. But hey, they see a guy trying to disengage, and sometimes you look at the defenders, they know they can't make the tackle. So they'll be like, oh, man, he's holding me, like, ref, right? And he'll try to act like he's getting tugged and pushed. And I think that was that scenario. Terrible call. So I'm right with y'all. I agree with you. I'm changing mine from B minus to C plus. C plus, B minus is where they are. So right there in that realm. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot of people were perplexed for the fact that this was one of the worst pass rushing teams, and all of a sudden, and again, that plays into the whole, these guys got up to play against the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think that plays a part of it's a matter of will, and I think these guys got played up a little bit for this game, as well as, maybe holding the ball a little bit too long. So other factors too. It's not just O-line play. I know we want to harp in on the O-line. Yes, it hasn't been the best, but yeah, I think there's a little more factors to this. But second half, I think the first half was significantly. I thought the offensive line played great in the first half. It's still two halves, right? And I think the second half is where they kind of played off, went away a little bit.
Yeah, and the thing is, man, they had the ball that the first of the second half for a long time. Guys get stiff. You sitting over here, you trying to get back into the swing of things. Vegas Chief Keenan said, hopefully Humphreys will be ready to play soon. So I'm going to say this. Unless Humphrey is fully ready to play, and after they see him in practice and how he looks, he's got to beat out Wanye. This job is just not his. They ain't going to do that. So they're going to evaluate it. They're going to see how he looks in practice against the rush, how his knee looks, retreating and all of that. They got to take a long look into it. And so he may need a couple of weeks. I'm sorry. He may need a couple of weeks. We just don't know it, Marcus. This is the unknown. He passed waivers. He passed, his physical, but that's passing the physical. I mean, okay, yeah, you're good enough to play. All right, we know that. Now we got to see you against top talent, going against these guys, changing direction, all those different things. Because now if you haven't been doing it, it's ACL, this is going to be a little bit different. So we'll just have to see. And Andy they'll make that evaluation. They're going to look at this really, really deeply. And as they should. Go ahead.
No, and I think this injury, kind of to your point, I think this injury is more about how they feel about Kingsley than they feel about Wanye. I think it's more about they don't trust Kingsley to fill in for that spot if Wanye does get hurt, like Wichie Hall said right now. I think he's insurance for Wanye's knee. I think it's more about the drop-off from Wanye to Kingsley. They'd rather have DJ Humphreys in there instead of going to Kingsley because I just don't think they trust him right now, being the rook that he is. I just don't think they trust that he's ready to be that guy for the stretch run for the playoffs.
Yeah, no, Kingsley wouldn't even dress, man. He's on the sideline, So Vegas Chief Keenan said, I'm hopeful he'll be good and ready. I trust the coaching staff. And Well said. Well said, sir. Well said, sir. Agree with you 100%. Vegas Chief Kingdom. So,
and I'll say this too. He's 30 years old. I know he had the ACL injury, had I believe a back injury in the past. But 30 years old is not old. And I've seen some people say, "Oh, we brought in an old left tackle." Not old. He was only a Pro Bowler 3 years ago. So it's like, okay, like if he looks good, if he does get playing time and he looks good, I think we could have a guy that we sign for maybe a 2-year deal. I mean, he's 30 years old. I think a guy, I mean, that's 30 is not old for a left tackle. I mean, look at Trent Williams' age for crying out loud. I mean, you get a solid left tackle, he stays healthy, and that's the thing. If he stays healthy, I think he could be a guy for us.
Yeah, that's right there. Upper work if stays healthy, right, on the whole deal. So,
come on, baby, go. Yes, that's a first down. It's a first down. This football season, I'll be putting down normal sodas like Coca-Cola for Olipop. Olipop offers a healthier alternative with its low sugar content and natural ingredients. Olipop is more than just a drink. It's a wellness companion that supports your digestive health. Packed with prebiotics, this fizzy elixir helps promote good bacteria in your gut, leading to improved digestion and overall well-being. So go ahead, click the link in the description and use promo code SODALOVE and get your can of Olipop so you can enjoy the game guilt-free. Go Chiefs. Use the promo code SODALOVE for 15% off now.
Look, they called a brilliant game. I think first half they had it humming. Some of the play caller looked great. Should have ran the football more. That's just me. I'm that guy. Yes, I am that guy. Situations, I think we should have did a much better job. And it's hard to overcome, man, penalties, negative plays. It's tough. You put strain and the pressure on the coaches to pull stuff out of their playbook. And look, let me say this too. I know we always keep talking about Andy Reid's got this playbook for the playoffs, man. And I'm just like, no, he does not. Look, he'll run some more plays. He might figure a couple more things in, but they throw all the stuff in usually like training camp or something they haven't ran yet. They might do it during the week, and then all of a sudden they may not run it. We just don't see it. But they want guys to get those things in because if you're trying to learn new plays toward the end of the season, the playoffs, it might just be a little bit too much. And so what you do is you can make changes and variety on particular plays to look the same way, but just run it differently. So that's what ending those things do. But yeah, he's not throwing the whole kitchen sink at him. Okay, he's got certain plays that he runs, and yeah, certain things he feels like he's going to win against these teams. And like I said, he might just wait to run he hadn't ran a play all summer. He might have ran it in practice during summer, something like that. And guys had to remember, like, hey, y'all remember such and such? They'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember that. Did we run it during the summer? Like, yeah, we're in it. So that's what they all do. But for those guys, man, Reid and Nagy, runs open up the pass. Absolutely. I think for me, the question was when we got down fourth quarter, where we're in the fourth quarter, 10 minutes to 8 minutes left in the game. We had the football. Plays changed a little bit. And I think we should have adjusted a little bit better than what we did. And I didn't like the position that we put our guys. Didn't. We should have been much better in some of the calls. Also, too, down in the goal line, I think we ran like a screen, in which I'm just like, I don't know why we're running the screen down there with this. Same thing, man. Just punch it in. Sometimes you just got to go hit guys in the mouth. And so, with that, man, other than them playing calling a good game toward the end, I didn't quite like that. I'm going to give him a B minus. B minus. Okay. So I'm not going to excoriate him for all of that, but we got to do much better situational football. And not put them in a bad position. And I think we needed to do that. I think in Vegas Chief Kingdom, I think they was a little aggressive. I think the play calling was just right on point. The tempo of it, them coming in at the huddle, what they were doing, uh, seemed like they had a really good game plan as far as like what they wanted to do. And we could have easily put probably 35, almost 40 points on these guys. Okay. And all we need to do is score. We got kicked out of, maybe getting a touchdown because of penalties and all of that. The one Joe Tooney called, terrible. We would have scored now on that one as well. But those guys were humming. It looked good. So I don't know who was calling what and what they were doing, but they did a pretty decent job.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.